Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Positive Vibes on this very rainy 5th of June. I've got something that will liven you up and cheer you up. Please comment on below and leave messages and any questions you've got. So, my guest today, which I'm very excited about, is an old pal of mine. Let me run through some stats as normal. 594 appearances, honours 1 league title, 3 League Cups, 1 FA Cup, 2 back-to-back European Cups, 1 Super Cup. He played for Nottingham Forest, Arsenal, Manchester United, Sheffield Wednesday, had 30 caps for England, was the first black full international for England. His name is Mr. Viv Anderson. Good morning, Viv.
Good morning, Philip. How are you? Great introduction, that. I've doing that for many, many years. Makes me sound old.
You're not old.
Oh, fat and 63.
Is that me or you?
What, the fat bit?
Oh, jokes. Right, let me go through this because one of the things that comes up there, and you get asked all the time, I'm sure about it, is the first black full international England player, which is an astounding feat. I just think that record, and I looked at, I'm going to talk about someone in a minute who we know mutually, but that record is sensational, and it's one of those records that can never be broken.
Yeah, and I think the person you're going to mention is Norman Whiteside, because he always said to me, I've got a record, but it's still going today, Norman's is. He's still the youngest player to play in the World Cup, but sooner or later, that will be beaten. He says, yours will never be beaten. So it's great to be first at anything, I must admit. But when I started off all those years ago, you never thought, you're going to play for England. You're going to be the first player to play for England. You're going to get 30 caps. You go, are you on something, mate? It's one of those. So listen, I'm very honoured and very proud. I'm very proud to be an Englishman, and I'm proud to be the first at getting the first full cap.
Yeah, well, you know what? It is something to be proud of as well, mate. And I've always said that. I can't take you back there. I can remember us being in Marbella. We went on holiday, and I remember Norman sitting there in the corner. I think he may have been under the influence or asleep or something. But every time he woke up, that's all he used to say. Whiteside, Pele, Whiteside, Pele. But he said it can be broken. You remember that trip, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, it's a funny old time. It was a last-minute thing. He said, fancy going away for a couple of days? I dragged Norman with us, and I remember sitting in a bar, and there's people in the corner, another corner. Norman's sitting in another corner, having a little snooze, shall we say. And we talked about football came up, and I'd point to him over there and say, see him over there? He's still the youngest player ever to play in the World Cup. And everybody's going, yeah, right, yeah. I don't believe that. He's got the beer belly, and he's got the cap on, and he's asleep under the influence of alcohol, I think. And well, was going, no chance.
He's great value. But listen, let me take you back, because I didn't realise. I mean, obviously you're born in Clifton, Nottingham.
Yeah.
Parents from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the Windrush. By the Windrush.
Yeah. But you're out there a few times.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go that many. I think I went 3 times with my mum and dad, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had the same sort of background. Probably as me and a lot of people. It must have been football in the back streets, football against a wall, football against the garage, on grass, wherever you can find grass.
Yeah. I was born in the centre of Nottingham, but we moved when I was, I don't know, 6, 7, to this Clifton estate, which was at the time the biggest council estate in Europe. So I went to a school there and played football, as you say, every given opportunity, outside, on the playground, everywhere you could possibly think of.
But from there, which I didn't know, you went up and down on the train because you were in Manchester United schoolboys. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. For a year, I'd go, every school holiday, I'd go up, and I'd stayed at Johnny Austin's mum's house. Okay. He was playing in the team at the time, so I'd stay there, not all the time, but different places. And then I'd go up and down, we train, and then we watch. I remember stopping and watching Best Law and Charlton train on the next pitch. And we were like, my God, And then I'd go back to Nottingham, come up again the next holiday. And after a year, they said, you're not going to quite make it at Manchester United. So I went back to Nottingham and got myself a job.
Oh, you got yourself a job? Oh, yeah. Silk screen printer.
You've got it, silk screen printer, which means, in inverted commas, you get the sandwiches and get the teas whenever we want one. So it wasn't the most glamorous job in the world, but But I was there for about 6 weeks, and then Forrest said, "Come and train with our youth team." And then I played 2 games, and then they signed me as an apprentice at 17.
17. So, I mean, I've got to go into there because everyone wants to know. One thing I'll say just before that, the teams that you've played for, and you go through Nottingham Forest, which is Brian Clough and Peter Taylor, Arsenal, which was George Graham, Manchester United, which was Fergie, Sheffield Wednesday, which was Ron Atkinson, and England, which is Terry Venables. That ain't a bad start.
England was Bobby Robson.
Bobby Robson, yeah, okay.
Bobby Robson. Terry Venables was my under-21 manager. I never played under Terry at full level. It was It was Ron Greenwood and Bobby Robson were my 2 managers when I was in England.
Wow, but I mean, what an education that all of those names that you've got there. I mean, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yes. There's some ups and downs in those managers, I must admit, but yeah, great fun. And I ended up being the manager of Barnsley for a year before I joined Robbo at Middlesbrough, and I took all those experiences and all those little bits from each of them, and obviously tried to mould it into my own way of doing things. And but I enjoyed my time, and I enjoyed everything I did.
Well, I'm sure you did. I mean, I go back now. You made your debut in 1973. I mean, because Pete.
Hang on. How's that work? I'm only 28.
Sorry, 2003. Oh.
That's it. Thank you.
The lighting's good, Viv, but it ain't that good. I mean, everyone talks about Brian Clough. Brian, I had the privilege to meet him one time, and he was a fantastic man and wonderful to listen to. I'm not sure about how great a coach, but as a manager, fantastic.
Hopeless as a coach. Every time he says, "Listen, I'm taking training today," we'd go, "No, boss, no, please, no." Because it was all the old things, throw the ball down the line and turn the other side and get it down the other line through your legs and all that. It's like going back to school. We're going, "No, we don't want you today, boss. Let Jimmy do it." No. Really? But it was, as you say, he was a great man manager. Great man manager.
They cut their teeth, didn't they, Peter Taylor and Brian Clough, in my hometown, which is Hartlepool.
Yeah.
So they cut their teeth there and moved over. And people don't really mention Taylor. They always mention Clough. I do, because I know they were a double act.
Yeah.
So you've got them. He puts together a fantastic team, and we all know that team, the likes of Woodcock, Robertson, McGovern.
Yeah.
And later on,
so McGovern came from Hartlepool's.
Yeah, no, he did, yeah. But wasn't he Scottish, though?
He's Scottish, yeah.
So all this team gets put together, and you go down, and you've got your debut. And just go through this, because I think it's quite a relevant story, and it's quite a really good story. So you got St James's Park with the likes of, I think...
That wasn't my debut.
Oh, your second game it was?
Second or third game, yeah. We played on the Saturday, and we go to St James's Park, yeah. Yeah.
So you play there. You've got Bobby Moncur, probably. You've got...
Yeah. You've got McDonald, Tudor. The great Newcastle team, really.
Yeah, but a tough Newcastle team.
Oh, not much. So I go out to look at the pitches you do, about an hour before the game, and I get dog's abuse. So it's my third game, or whatever it was. So I go to Mr. Clough and say, "Boss, I don't think I can play today." He goes, didn't even flinch. He goes, "You're playing." End of. So we got beat, I think, at the end. But he said his way of doing that is saying, "Listen, you listen to people, you let them influence you in any way, shape or form, you ain't going to make a career." I was 17. You ain't going to make a career. So deep down, I really wanted to be a footballer, and whatever he said went. So it never really bothered me after that. But remember, I wasn't like a Cyril or a Laurie. I wasn't a forward. My job was to kick the winger. And if he didn't like it, he'd go over the other side, and I'd kick the next one that comes to me. And the job was to keep the ball out the net. Simple, really. So it was completely different. I wasn't a flair player that they catch the headlines with scoring great goals and all the rest of it. My job was to defend and keep clean sheets. So it's a different mindset, I think. Yeah,
but I mean, I haven't said that. I watched something on an old clip, not so old because I know you're 28, but it was an old clip.
It was sepia.
Yeah, they all had handlebar moustaches.
Yeah. Charlie Charles.
I got this thing on ATV, and it was an interview just before you made your debut for England against Czechoslovakia.
Right.
It was Clough and you, but in separate shots. So he'd obviously said what he said. But he said the opposite, actually. He said that you had you're paying to defend. That was it. That was a terrible impression. You pay to defend and keep the ball out of the goal. That's what you paid for. But what you said was that you had great pace, with great aerial ability, and you made these marauding runs, which I thought, oh, sorry, sort of against what I thought, because you were nicknamed the Spider. I've always
because long legs. Yeah. Listen, it was basic. My job, as you rightly say, clean sheets. You're paid to clean sheets and keep the ball out of my net. Anything else you can do added to that is a bonus. So if you can get forward and create a goal, score a goal, make a goal, whatever it may be, that's a bonus in my view. I pay you to keep the ball out of my net. Because remember Larry Lloyd and Kenny Burns, he'd say, you two, useless, give the ball to somebody who can play. So he'd give it to John Robertson, he'd give it, and that's all you do. Head the ball and give it to somebody who can play. And that was as basic as that. So
that was the tactical management.
Exactly. Slag the centre half off and tear the winger up.
So going back to, let me ask a couple of questions. I want to keep to that, but toughest opponent for you?
Toughest opponent? Well, I'd say they're all tough until you're 4-0 up.
Yeah, good answer.
Me and John Barnes had big ding-dongs. If you speak to Barnesy now, he'd say, who was your toughest opponent? He'd say, I was, because he had to chase me all day long. And I'd say the other one, because I had to chase him all day long. So there's some good ding-dongs. Alistair Johnson, Willie Johnson, played for West Brom.
Yeah.
They were really good at the time. They had Derek Statham and they had Robbo in midfield, Cyril and Laurie and all that. So we had some ding-dongs. They were in the Midlands, we were in the Midlands. So that was always a good game. As I say, they're all different. Peter Barnes, they're all difficult until you get up in the game and then you can relax a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the era, wasn't it? I mean, what about the best player you played with?
For me, Brian Robson. He could do everything. He'd go, who would you want with you in your centre midfield? He could kick, he could head, kick, score goals, make goals, and he galvanises people around him. He'd always say, if you're having a bad, like as a fullback, you play the ball into the midfield, and I'd go, oh, this is a bit tighter. He'd go, you give it me. If I lose it, that's my problem, but you give it me in tight areas. He'd want it, and he'd galvanise the team when we were struggling. He's a great leader and a great captain. So I always say that, Brian Robson, the most talented, like Glenn Hoddle, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, quality, real quality.
If I wanted somebody in my team, Brian Robson would be number one.
Right answer. Right, so we go back quickly to Peter Clough when we know. I mean, back-to-back European clubs. Whatever I'm saying about Brian Clough not being a great coach, and you said the same thing. He's a genius, nevertheless, an absolute man. To get that, to galvanise that team himself and put them there. So, tell me one thing. I'm just going to hit you with this. When you were in Amsterdam, tell me about the red light district. All wrong.
Yeah, we drew at home in the European game, so it's a fine balance. So we go to the airport for the replay on the Monday. We get the hotel in Amsterdam, put the bags down. The manager says, down, everybody down. We're going for a walk. So where do you walk in Amsterdam? The red light area. So the young lads like me and Woody and Robbo and all that, we're at the back. The older lads at the front were like that, mouth open, never been to anything like this. Like that. What's all this? And you see Clough and Taylor at the front leading the way. And Clough and Taylor stood in this doorway chatting away to these girls. So we all get together, file up at the back and finally get together. And he said, anybody fancies going in? The club's paying. This is the Monday before the game on the Wednesday. Lads, they're like Messerschmitts, they were. All over the place. But he's one of his tactics, I thought, throughout his career when I was with him anyway, was to lighten the load. He'd say we'd have drinks before games on a Friday to not think about what the next day's happening or what's happening in the next couple of days. He took us to Marbella before one of the European Cup games. So you go, Marbella, all you do, we trained every day, but what do you do after that? We go in the bar and get absolutely lamped. So it's a week before the European Cup final. We were walking down the main street in Marbella, and people were going, it was Callum Malloy, as happens, Mallorca. And he'd go, why not be playing in the European Cup in a week's time? It's off with a piss. We did that every day. Well, we trained every day, but it was his way of relaxing everybody, not to think about what's coming in a week's time or a few days' time or the next day, whether it be a league match. So constantly we'd have drinks before games. I remember we played in the Milk Cup. We got beat 1-0 by Wolves. Andy Gray scored. Mistake was Shilton and David Needham. Ball bobs down and Andy Gray put the ball in the net. We're in the bed at 9 o'clock. Cup final next day. We get a phone call. Everybody downstairs in the room. We had a private room at the Royal Lancaster. What? It's match day tonight. So no, the manager wants everybody down. So we all come down. So we sit there. Door burst open. There is a crate of champagne and a crate of orange juice. So we go, what's going on here? He said, nobody leaves this room till they tell me a joke that I like. I left that room at 12 o'clock. Woke up next day with a headache.
I'm surprised you left so early, if it was a joke.
My jokes, yeah. So that's what he was like. To try to forget what's coming up. It's your way of relaxing. And he thought drink was the ideal way. Like people like Archie Gemmell didn't drink. Gemmell, you have a drink. He says, I don't drink, boss. He says, have a drink and tell me a joke. So he made everybody do what he said in that respect.
But you know what? Every people can get all PC and knock all that, but it had its effect, and he should have been English. Oh, yeah. My view.
Yeah, it didn't work the Wolves. We got beat 1-0. But other times it worked. So
exactly, worked in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So from there, then Arsenal come knocking because I suppose everyone had started to leave Forest. They'd come to that. So then you go down with George Graham, 250,000 down.
No, I went. Don Howe was the manager.
Oh,
Don Howe was my coach at England, and he knew my contract was up, and he contacted me to come down. He just got the job. I don't know who was. It was the old Irish manager. Terry Neal was the manager. Just got the sack, and then he got the job. So he contacted me and said, "Would I come?" I just got married. It was a good opportunity to. Because everybody, you used rightly say, everybody left Forest. I was the last one to leave out of that European Cup winning team. And it was a good opportunity to go to London and play and see if I can play at a big club.
No, Tony Woodcock was down there, wasn't he?
Tony was there. Tony left us after the first European Cup, went to Cologne, and then came back to Arsenal from Cologne. So he was already there. The likes of Paul Mariner was there, Kenny Sansom was there, Graham Ricks was there. They were all my England colleagues. So I was going like home from home, really.
So you have a very successful period at the Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then I suppose, and I don't know what happened, but then United come calling.
Got the call from Robbo saying, we've got a new manager called Alex Ferguson. I went, never heard of him. He said, he's just won this in Aberdeen, blah, 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 blah. They want to sign you. I think what happened before that, we played Arsenal. Arsenal played Man United at Man United. And we were on a 13-game unbeaten run. And Norman Whiteside kicked the lumps out of everybody that moved that day. He was unbelievable. Got David Rocastle sent off, God bless his soul. And me and him had a ding-dong at the other end. The ball's at one end. We're the other going, go you. He's going, hit me, I'd love you to. Go on, hit me now, and all this. And I'm trying to hit him, 70,000 Old Trafford. I'm going, no, can't get sent off. We get beat 1-0. And Sir Alex Ferguson liked the way I stood up to Norman that day, and he wanted to buy me from that day onwards. But I always say to Robbo, every time we meet up England, because we were roommates, I'd say, that Whiteside is a first-class tosser. He is. And he said, no, when you get to know him, he's a nice lad, and blah, 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 blah. So subsequently, I go to Manchester United. First day there, Robbo goes, here's the lads, come and meet the lads, and he's shaking hands with everybody. And he goes to Norman, he goes, now, you tell him what you've been saying to me for the last year about it.
Is that right?
But, Norman, I never said that. I said you were a great lad. That was it, a great lad.
Well, I mean, it's amazing when you look back at the things we've talked about being the first black international in England. You were also Ferguson's his first signing.
Myself and Brian McClare came at the same time, but I win alphabetically.
Oh, is that? I bet that really got on McClare's nerves.
Yeah, so I always say that to McClare when I see him. Yeah. Alphabetically, mate, alphabetically. So,
best ever.
Yeah. So we both walked in at the same time, yeah.
cool. I mean, looking back at, and we talk about the England 30 appearances, should have been a lot more England, but you were up against the likes of Phil Neal, Mick Mills.
Yeah.
Well,
Gary Stevens.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the later years, I went to 2 World Cups, never played. Everybody goes disappointed. Yeah, of course you're disappointed, but you know, I was injured I was a young lad in the first one, so I had Mickey Mills and Phil Neal in front of me. So he took me for experience, which was great to go. And then the second one, I was injured, and then Gary Stevens got in. They did really well, and it was one of those, you know. But you know, things happen. If you say to me, out of all you've done in your career, that's about that.
Yeah.
You know, I've achieved a hell of a lot, and I'm very pleased with that.
Yeah, but there's people from that era of football like Robbo, Peter Reid, and the one thing that I find in a lot of these interviews is what's consistent about them is injuries. All players got injured. I mean, the tackles but the pitches were like beaches, and injuries at the wrong time. I mean, you can talk about yours. You can talk about you got done at the age of 17 was your first, I think.
If you see my knee now, I've got a scar like that. I dislocated my kneecap and snapped my ligaments in one fell swoop in a reserve match. Remember a fullback called Alec Lindsay? He caught me as I'm running on the side, and I was in hospital for 3 weeks and all the rest of it. So I dislocated my knee again when I went to Manchester United. Shoulder, teeth knocked out, you name it. It was one of those. It's an era where you just had to get on with it. Men were men and sheep were scared.
Well, that's a motto from Hartlepool, where I'm from. Anyway, so all of this culminates with you then moving to Sheff Wednesday, and was Atkinson there at Sheffield Wednesday when you went there?
Yeah, Sir Alex gave me a free transfer because I'd had a bit of injury problems, was in and out, wanted to play, you know, the old adage, I want to play, but he wanted me to come back for the European Games, to be in the dressing room with the boys, give them experience, you know, talk to the younger lads, help them through it, stuff the other. So, but Ron signed me to make Sheffield Wednesday a little bit better, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's fantastic. A great manager. Where did he went? Well, he obviously went to United from there. Let me just take you now and talk about what you're doing now, because we've already done 20 odd minutes, so it's easy to talk to you.
I've got a company called Play On Pro, where they look after old retired sports stars, not just footballers, although 80% would be footballers. We've got golfers, cricketers, badminton players, men and women, you know, so we try and look after them in their post careers, try and get them work opportunities. You know, we've got an app for them. It's an invitation only, so they can get work opportunities or different discounts on different things. So we try and look after them once they've finished, because there's only a certain amount of coaches' jobs, punditry jobs, managers' jobs. What do the rest of them do? It's the same in acting. Once you're out of act, when you're not on Coronation Street, what do you do? They sit there waiting for the phone to ring. If the phone doesn't ring, what do you do? This is a place where they can go, speak to other people, they can text each other, keep in contact. It's the camaraderie they miss out of all the things. And we've took teams to Hong Kong now for the last 3 years. So we get them together, playing a tournament, an overage tournament, and they have a great time, you know. So we try and recreate what they had before, as well as giving them somewhere to go, a place to be, and people that can listen to people, they can talk to other people, they can look at job opportunities, they can look at all the things we can offer them. So it's called Play On Pro.
You know what? I think that's brilliant, especially I'm not a professional footballer, but I can understand the mentality. You come to the end of it and play a bit of football, and obviously just with mates and the rest of it as you do. But I don't know if we ever played together in one of those charity games. I'm not sure.
I think we might have done. Yeah. It's like that when it's when the phone doesn't ring. What do you do? You know, you've got I've got a great example. There's a girl on our app called Gail Ems. Gail Ems is a badminton player. She went to the 2008 Olympics, got a silver medal. She been a badminton player since she was 7. She wins the medal, comes back. Everybody wants on the television, wants to do this, wants to do the other. And after the 6 months period, she couldn't pay a mortgage. She had no formal education. She was like, what do I do now? I've achieved my goal. What do I do? You know. So this happens to all the footballers when they're sitting there thinking, what do I do? Who do I speak to? You know. So we're trying to give them a guide, in whatever way we can. And I say it happens in your profession all the time. I've seen him on the telly. Next thing he's in Sainsbury's stacking shelves because they've got no income.
I didn't think you see me in there, but no, it didn't work. Look, I've got a thing that I ask everyone, and so what happens, I get to this stage and I say, I'm taking Viv and I'm putting Viv by himself in lockdown. What meal does Viv take with him?
Some pasta dish, spaghetti bolognese.
I knew it. And what about drink? What would you take your drink?
You know I don't drink, Philip, so I will take a bottle of Moretti.
Bottle of Moretti, pasta dish. There's a big Italian theme coming through.
Yeah.
One piece of music that you've got to listen to over and over again. So it's got to be your favourite piece of music. What would it be, Viv?
Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones.
Whoosh!
I've always been a Rolling Stones nut.
Yeah.
So anything to do with the Rolling Stones. But at the moment, I'm into Sympathy for the Devil.
Well, this is how good I know you, because your first album was Roxy Music.
Yes, that's right. You've done your research.
Well, for your first pay packet, you bought some green and brown platforms, which must have made you...
Hey, have you been reading my book? I gave you one for nothing. I remember that, you.
Yeah, I've got it here. It's on it's on the shelf.
yeah, with dust on, I think.
Yeah. So then I'm making a film on Viv. Who's going to... And you can big yourself up here. Who's going to play Viv? Which actor?
There's only one person, isn't there? Denzel Washington.
Oh, fantastic. I knew you were going to... You're my hero. You can't say that. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, I was going to say Sam Jackson or something. But you're going
So
okay.
Idris Elba.
Yeah, it's too beefy. Yeah, you are. Denzel's your boy.
Go on, then.
What about who's going to play Brian Clough?
Oh, the boy who did him in the, what do you call it, in the, what's his name? Michael Shane. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, he did a great impression, didn't he?
Yeah.
Damned United. Yeah.
Good actor.
Yeah.
All right, who's going to play Ferguson?
Oh God, that's a tricky one. That is. Who's going to play Ferguson?
You're trying to get respectful. Say what comes to your mind, Viv.
I can't think of one. A Scotsman that comes to mind. There's loads of...
You know what?
Go on.
Can it leave? Listen, I'm just going to say thank you so much for giving me your time. Ladies and gentlemen, a proper gentleman, suave, sophisticated. Someone behind you, Viv.
Yeah.
Listen, a proper gentleman. Thanks a lot, mate. Stay safe, and I wish you all the best. See you
Phil,
soon.
good to speak to you, Phil. Keep in touch.
Thanks a lot, Viv. Cheers, pal.
Cheers.